recording on? Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, well, okay. So how to bring or create more harmony in your life. So it was really interesting. So while I was trying to organize what I was going to say on this, because harmony is part of my program, which is all to do with health and well-being, of which there are 8 aspects of our creation towards self-actualization, which we need, and harmony is one of them. And part of the sovereign program is all to do with sovereignty, obviously, and happiness. And sovereign, to be sovereign, and happiness both have 9 letters. So that is what really interests me, because to be sovereign, you have to be happy, and to be happy, you have to be sovereign. You can't be outside those two. So according to the thesaurus, harmony is the bringing together. Now, this is really probably more key, the bringing together of 2 or more things to create something that is in agreement, that is in accord, congruous, consistently orderly. I have to learn that one. Or pleasing in the arrangements of parts. So most of us think of harmony in association with music. We think of it as the core of something that is the simultaneous combination. And that's really what part of the key is. It's the simultaneous combinations of tones coming together, overlaying each other, blended in essence, that then creates a frequency that's pleasing to pretty much all, really. If it's different from a chordal structure. So it's a chordal structure, but it's different from a melody or a tune or a rhyme or a rhythm, because those are sequential, all right? They're sequential, but they also can have both harmony and disharmony, harmonious notes. But basically what you're looking at is one set of chords, let's say notes, tones coming together to create something that's a frequency that resonates in a certain chord. So if you have any idea, or you have an idea of an analogy that you like about harmony, or what resonates for you, put it in the chat. That'd be great. So we live in a dual world, and on some level, knowing what harmony is means that we can calibrate for when something is not harmonious. Yeah, we live in a dual world. We have to have difference in order to know when something is not aligned. Yeah, that's the way we notice things. So harmony on some level tells us that everything's going smoothly, but often we're in a pattern and we think we're going smoothly, but actually we might not. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So we use harmony or the aspect of calibration in every aspect of our life. We calibrate to something or away from something, but we calibrate. So think about your teeth. What do you do first thing in the morning? You brush your teeth. Probably most of us will brush our teeth last thing at night as well. And some people brush their teeth 3 times a day. But how do we check our teeth are dirty? What do? Well, we run our tongue across our teeth, and we feel that, our teeth normally are lovely and smooth, but when it's not clean, it isn't smooth, is it? So that's how we calibrate for something not being in harmony. So when we don't feel the smoothness, we know it's not in harmony. So probably on some level, harmony means smoothness. Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that just came in for there. But also we do it in other ways, okay? So when you put a pair of jeans on, for example, and you put on a little bit of weight, well, you're not in harmony because it doesn't feel smooth on your body, and you don't move smoothly, or when we overeat. So there's a discord, because what happens is when our stomach gets wider than it should, then we feel the disharmony, we feel the stretch, and that isn't in alignment. So part of harmony and part of what we do as meaning-making people is we come up with this idea that when we don't have harmony, it means this, okay? And we can either choose to do something with it or not. But it's really quite important is to know why harmony is important. I mean, yes, so we don't clean our teeth, or we carry on putting on weight, or we carry on overeating, or we carry on trying to see through things without wearing new glasses or something like that. So why is this important to us? Well, when we are not in harmony, we get dis-ease. And if we constantly continue with not experiencing harmony, that will lead us to dis-ease. So harmony is flow, and it is also about ease. And when there is an ease and flow, there is blockages. There are blockages, and these blockages cause us to have dis-ease, right? If they're not corrected particularly. So I know that you've heard of this ad nauseum. I'm not telling you anything new, but why don't we often do anything when we experience disharmony? Why don't we do things? So how come we might put on huge amounts of weight and still do nothing? Or when people tell us something, we still do nothing. Or when we tell somebody, they still do nothing. Yeah. And we can see things are not in the way we would imagine harmony to be. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And the reason could be that the way we are giving the message, the way the frequency is coming to us may not be the right frequency for us. So we can't resonate with it. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And also it could be that we are not the right receptacle for it. All right. So we're in discord with it. So it's kind of like recognizing there are these two frequencies, these two kind of states. There's a state of what we're going to, what someone else is delivering, and there's a state of what we can receive. So this is really quite key when we think about harmony and frequencies, and how to look at it from the level of how do we come to the belief that when we experience something or discord, that we do something about it. So I like to think about harmony in another way as well, in the sense of the phenomena, which is basically to see it in the idea of a vibrational wave. And I like to think of it like this because I see everything in waves most of the time. So everything in the universe vibrates at a frequency. So my voice is vibrating at a frequency. So I can talk low or I can talk high, not so high. And that's a frequency. That's how my chords and my throat is vibrating. But frequency is slowed down or facilitated depending on the medium on which the frequency has to pass through. So if we look at it just as a pure physical kind of understanding, it makes real sense when we know that our body is 90% water. And therefore, whatever happens to the water in our body, because our cells are 90% water, will directly affect the way they will resonate. That water will resonate. And therefore, the degree of harmony. So obviously, the more clear, crystal clear, the less debris that we have in our cells, the more we're going to go at a frequency that is much more fast, or much faster, much more higher, a higher frequency. So I think it's lovely to think of it in the idea of waves. And I've got a little video for you, which I have slowed down. And it is a quick video of what happens when waves and water interact with each other. And what you'll see is something called constructive interference. All right. So I'm going to just quickly go into that, and I'm going to then share the screen. Just share. We should be on this one, and I'm hoping that we're there. So I want you to just have a look at this. This is we're going to go through a split level with water waves going through a split experiment. So here we are. I've slowed this down. You've got to admire. I have managed to slow it down. So there's this wave going, and it's going, and it's going. And now it's going to move towards those two splits over here. And look what happens. So you see it goes through, and they form perfect waves. to start, perfect waves, and then all of a sudden, those waves start to mix with each other. And what you start to do is you start to get some discord. You're starting to get knobbly, bumpy bumps. All right. You see the bumps over there. All right. So after a while, those bumps smooth out, but you get these knobbly bumps that are going on around and around and around. If I just let that go there, you can see. So we've got what we would call, see, they're getting quite bright here. This would be what we call constructive interference, where things are coming together and they're magnifying. And the darker sort of these kind of bits to various degrees is destructive interference. It's where it's kind of disappearing over here. So this is where the wave is collapsing. So in fact, it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm just going to go back into Facebook. Here we are. All right. I think we're in the right place. Good. So you can see those different waveforms depending on how the waves are interacting. So if we think about wave frequencies as the way water vibrates, such as conflict of thoughts. So if we think of them in the way that it vibrates, we can think of it as frequencies and how it vibrates in our body. But it would then make sense that if we are in dissonance or in conflict with our emotions, which is a frequency in itself, then we would expect to have these wave frequencies not working very well in our body. So we would get disharmony, right? So the real thing for us to take on board is that when we feel at any time a dissonance, a sense of something not going right, or we don't tell our truth in any way, we immediately create a situation where we will have the breakdown of the patterns of the waves. And that would mean that we would start having a problem. We would either start destroying, because that is really when we have destructive interference, it's chaos. And when we have constructive interference, it's enhancement. So when we work in a frequency that's aligned, we enhance that health. And when we are in one that's disaligned, we cause more chaos, more entropy, rather than moving up into negantropy. Okay, entropy means breakdown. So we know one thing is when things come in and the frequency is perhaps not focusing and frequency not doing very well. But what happens when people don't believe things? And, you know, information comes in and they don't believe anything. And they've got this very firm, stuck belief. What really happens for them is that the water in that region literally is stuck. It's like ice. It's like a dam. The frequency can't get in. And so therefore things can't move because of this resonant power is diminished. Okay, ice doesn't have very much resonant power. Water has a huge amount of resonant power. Ice on its own doesn't move. It'll move if it's in water. Yeah, so it's really kind of understanding that. Okay, so the thing that I kind of always think about when I talk about things landing is the idea of my mother, who always used to smoke, and she would have 3 cigarettes in the kitchen, and she would go from ashtray to ashtray all around the house. And over all the years, I would say to her, you know, smoking really isn't very helpful for you. So what people were doing, or what she was doing, is going to her doctor, who happened to smoke. And guess what? He told her to carry on doing what she wanted to do. So whatever I said, she wouldn't listen to, because the authority who she resonated with is the person she wanted to let in. So if he had said, you need to stop, she would have stopped. So there was this discord that was happening every time I was telling her I was giving a frequency she couldn't hear. Yeah. And the interesting thing is the only time she stopped, which she did, which she stopped for 6 years, was when she was told by the doctor after going and having an operation, who said, I will cut your legs off if you have another cigarette. That was the first person that had told her so congruently what is going to happen to her, that she got such a fright and she heard it. So until the right person or the right message is given, somebody that is blocked and in dis-ease, disharmony, will not get the message because it's so incoherent for them. Okay, I'd like to do an experiment with you so that you can get a tangible idea of what happens in our body when we experience positive or negative emotions. And for those of you that come on later, who are not here right now, please, when you do this exercise, do the exercise and put things in the chat so that I can come back and answer for you. Okay, so let's do this little experiment. So what I'd like you to do now for a minute is I'd like you to close your eyes. And I want you to just kind of work with your emotions. So I want you to think now. I'm going to go for a discordant one first because I don't want to leave you with a discordant one. So let's work with that first. So I want you to think about somebody that you really dislike, someone that you really dislike. So with your eyes shut, just kind of get a sense of them. You really dislike them. Now, I know that you might be on this high level thing and you may not. You may be one of these really high level people, but maybe then just think about someone who's really irritated you, or, a lot of people really may not really like Donald Trump. So maybe think of Trump, or maybe think of somebody whose values are so different from yours and really different that it's almost like, okay. And just really get that now in your body. And just feel that feeling. Just really think, what is it? What gets your goat? What makes you angry? What makes you feel, oh God, it's almost like this person's a waste of space. Just kind of get that sense. And just kind of get a sense of maybe, or it may even be that there's someone that you really, 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 really can't go and tell your truth to because they snap you down all the time. And you feel that sense of trappedness. So you might have one of those kinds of sensations. Just kind of get the sense of that resonance that's in your body right now. Okay. And I want you to just feel where it sits in your body. Just feel where it is, where it's strongest. And then kind of notice how it might spread out. You might even get a sense of an image. You might get a sense of waves moving out. I mean, if I look at that and think of something like that, I kind of see waves, kind of a little like all those waves that were going on, sort of discord. And my one that I'm seeing is kind of like, kind of browny, reddy, yellowy color waves. So those are mine. So yeah, a little bit not so great. Okay, so now shake that off. And then again, breathe in and out, just do a little shake. And then close your eyes and think about someone you love. And what I'd like you to do is not necessarily go to the intensity that you actually experience at a sense of pain, because sometimes the bittersweetness of intense young love can be really intense. So I want you to go with more the love that when you look at your child, or when you have an animal or something, you look at the sun and you get that kind of love, or you want to say thank you to the sun, or when you've had something that's really beautiful, just kind of let that be there now. Kind of love that maybe a partner or husband. Try and remember them on a good day. They're not always going to be the good days. And just feel that where it's strongest in your body. And notice it as it radiates. Notice where you experience it most. Notice what happens. Maybe you find yourself. And just notice and see how it feels. And then shake that off. shake it off, come through, shake it off, and let me know how that feels for you. Let me know what happened. Good. So, okay. So as you experience, so let me know. So as you experience a negative feeling, you may have felt tight. Okay, you might have, if it was a kind of trap feeling, you might have had an experience in your throat. If it was more like anger or something, you might have felt like a pounding, or maybe another sensation like pins and needles, something that happened for you. Maybe just let me know what you had. And then just kind of go, well, when you had the positive feelings, what did you feel? How did you feel? Did it make your heart slow down? Did it beat more regularly? Was it warmer? You might have even found yourself smile a bit. Just whatever comes in there, just let me know. So when we experience negative feelings, that activates the fight, flight, freeze mechanism. And you all know that's the survival mode. But what you might not necessarily know is that the fight, flight, freeze activates the immune system. So initially, it activates the fight, flight, activates the immune system, right? And that is really because we have to galvanize everything to make sure that we're okay. So most of us, when we have a big fright, and some of us can run like miles, we can do some crazy things. What often happens, if you've hurt yourself and you're frightened and something's happened, you probably won't feel it, right? When your adrenaline is high. But your body needs to be protected, so it increases the immune response. So it's increasing that response that is about fighting. And Dorothy Pert, who wrote Molecules of Emotion, said that every cell of our body is connected with the immune system. And so our immune system, when it is in discord and it's moving and it's not in a regular rhythm, so often when we have a stress and we come back down to normal, that's fine. The immune system will activate a little bit. But if we don't come down, if our body stays in that stress and we stay in this disharmony, our immune system, first of all, is going to go a bit crazy. So that's how we get the autoimmune conditions. That's how we often end up with a lot of things like rheumatoid arthritis, or the kinds of immune systems that are ME or chronic fatigue. Those kind of systems are very much in the fight-flight ones, but the ones that are cancer is when we've gone into the freeze state and we've gone into the frozen state, and our immune system goes down and it can't recognize the discord, it can't recognize the disharmony. It just can't recognize either of that, which is really bizarre, but it's the truth. So when we have harmony, our body activates the immune system in a very healthy way, where this immune system is now regulated. It knows not to attack things. It knows the body. It activates an area in our heart, which is all to do with regulating the immune system. And it's the part of the heart that says, hey, this is me and this is not me. Yeah, oh, I'm me. I'm nice and regular. I'm me when it feels harmony. So what I wanted to do is just take a quick peek at a picture of what happens when we have emotions going. So here we have the emotional frequencies. So when we experience feeling frustration, impatience, when we feel doubt or worry or anger, we spiral down into this final aspect of powerlessness, because when our immune system's down, our adrenaline's down, we don't have power, we have no frequency, we have no movement, we have no wave, we have stagnation. And when we start to open up and resonate at a different place, when our beliefs are high and hopefulness is high, and we start moving up where the frequency is much shorter but faster, we move into the feelings of love and joy and happiness and freedom. Okay. Okay. Oh, I think I didn't share that. Let me go back in. I think I didn't share that. I'm so sorry. Let me, I realize now I didn't share that. Right, let's go back into this. There we are. Okay, I'm back in here. So remember I talked about that if we started kind of, if you're at a place of boredom, but if you're kind of not really, you start to get frustrated or irritated, impatient, angry, rage, hatred, any of those sort of things, we go down into the downward spiral. So this is the emotional frequency tone scale. But hard to actually know in the body if this is what it is, but this is what we think. And if you're going into the other, you're going up into higher, faster frequencies. So these are low and long, and these are short and high. Okay, we'll stop that. All right, here we are, back into our normal, place. Good, good. All right. So when we feel good, our heart is at peace, and the kinds of frequencies are all harmony together, and we get a sense of that order and congruence and alignment. And what's really important is that whatever you think and feel, the body is listening to you, and it's communicating that message throughout the water, throughout every bit of water in the body. And Dr. Emoto, he was a scientist, a Japanese scientist, who basically really wanted to look at how words and how other words and vibrations affect water crystals. So I thought I might just actually put some of that in there so that you can have a look. So we'll go into that. So let me go back again into the share. I'll go through them these pictures very quickly. Okay, it should be on the share here. So this is Dr. Iwamoto's motor experiments. And so basically, this is the Shimto River, which is the last clean stream, almost pure mountain water in Japan. And this is glacial water in New Zealand. You can see that most water has this hexagonal, which is the most perfect shape that exists. Wait, let's go down. Let's move on. So this is a polluted water, obviously, compared to a clean stream. And this is Bach's music. And this is Chopin's music of Farewell Waltz, which is still melodious, but there's a little bit of sadness in there. So they're not completely hexagonal. Can you see? They are hexagonal, but they're not completely hexagonal. This is absolutely hexagonal. And G is meant to be one of the most perfect sounds on chords. So this is basically healing music in comparison to heavy metal. I'm not sure about how that is in the sense of how it is in somebody, if they actually like heavy metal, would that be more like the harmonious one? I don't know. So that one I'm going to leave out there. I'm not sure. This one is words of love. See how beautiful the crystals are, far more ornate, more aligned and gathering and coming together, almost like they're talking. And these are words of thank you, which are slightly different, very, very different in the way that they are. And this is the word, you make me sick. Yeah, you make me sick. This word over here creates, I will kill you, really doesn't have harmonious resonance. And this is the Fujiwara water dam. Some crystals of that, where it was before it had healing, and this is after it had a prayer, a Buddhic prayer, a prayer by a Buddhist. All right, so the key thing to remember here is every one of your cells are listening to you. Yeah, they're all listening to you. So I need to just go out of this now. Good, we're back. I think we're back onto the live. Excellent. So the key, we know now that water is affected by our vibrations. And we also know that our body is listening to us all the time. So every time we talk, every time we think, we are vibrating. So when we talk to ourselves, we say, thank you. Oh, you're such a lovely soul. We're vibrating. All right. So we're vibrating every time. So the key here is that our body is always listening to us. So knowing that, how do we get back into harmony? Well, we have to learn how to recalibrate. We have to learn how to realign. Not all of us know how to do that because it takes effort, because most of us don't know, we've lost the connection with our harmony. So we have to learn to entrain our body to get back into harmony, into that harmonious pattern. So one of the things is we have to learn a new pattern. If you don't like certain foods which are good for you, if you're exposed to them about 17 times, it's interesting. The body says, oh, this is not so strange anymore. Ah, I can handle this. It starts to become in harmony to it. So the first time you get it, you don't like it, it's blocked. But as the frequency, the right frequency is coming into your body is starting to get used to it and is starting to like it. So we know that that happens. Also, in the same way, if we don't know that something is wrong, we must experience a discord before we can attend to it. And so, yeah, in essence, that's the only way we can change. We have to align. We have to, first of all, notice the discord. And then we have to actively seek to align to what we want. And then we have to entrain. We have to keep entraining to do that. And then harmony will begin to happen because it's kind of like a slow burn. Okay, so, my eyes become, oh, sorry. Let me see, my eyes become softer with love. Oh, yes, lovely. I feel my eyes and ears clenching with the dislike. Wow, wow, yes, yes. That is really amazing. My eyes become softer with love. Yes. And it's interesting, the eyes are the window to the soul. Yeah. So when our eyes become softer, then our soul is kind of in that nice soft place, and it's open and it's becoming receptive, and we're starting to hear. But when our eyes and ears are sort of clenched, I love that. I absolutely love that. And that is really what it happens when we dislike something, when we don't want to hear it, when our belief system kind of shuts us off, we close off. So isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And we know that in adrenaline, in the adrenaline state, we don't hear so well because we're focused only on getting away. We might hear something that's really loud, but it has to be really loud for us to actually notice it. We actually turn and tone down sound. So, wow, thank you, Shelley. That was really, really lovely to hear that. Okay, so for those of you that come on later and those of you that have listened to this right now, I'm just going to ask you, what would it be like to be in harmony and to walk your path of health? To know that this is just one currency that will bring you into wealth, to resonate with those around you, to bring joy and happiness, and seep in your gratitude as you embrace in your success. If any of that resonates with you and you'd like to find out more, I have 5 sovereign wave breakthrough calls that are free. And together we'll explore one of your biggest blocks and maybe go through how I might be able to help you have greater harmony in your life. And I've put the link in the top there, but I'll also put it in the comments as well. So I hope that that's been helpful for you. I hope that you've enjoyed being here and kind of getting to look a little more at what harmony is. And if you have heard of Emoto before, then that's great. But if you haven't, let me know, because, you know, it is so beautiful when we start to see the things that start to validate our truth. And sometimes it has to take time for things to land before we will actually move into that truth, okay? Because the fear or whatever is going on is not letting us truly use the knowledge to activate us. So, yeah, thank you again for joining, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.